guys, and welcome back to Hot Girls Eat Carbs. I'm your host, Brittany McChrystal, and I hope that you are having a wonderful week. This is your cozy corner of the internet where we chat all things health, wellness, and sustainable weight loss. If you are a new listener here, welcome, and if you are tuning back in, welcome back. I hope you guys like the video. Please excuse the construction behind me. They are literally pulling down an entire building. So I'm so sorry if it is a little loud. Okay, so I got to update you guys. Oh my goodness. Before we get into today's topic, I have to give you a life update because it has been a week. Firstly, if you guys have been tuning in for a while, you'll know that I am working so hard on a brand new business, like head down, tunnel vision, barely speaking about it kind of hard. I can't say too much yet, but I'm hoping within the next month I can finally start sharing what's been going on behind the scenes, and I'm genuinely so excited. It feels scary and it's like new and grown up, and I can't wait to bring you guys along with the process. I just joined a gym this week. I've been here since November and somehow survived in my tiny apartment gym and class pass, but unfortunately, the gym downstairs is just not cutting it anymore. It's not inspiring. I needed proper equipment. I needed space. And I felt like if I want to really get the most out of my training, I need to have a proper gym. So I finally committed. And honestly, it has been a good decision because my workouts feel stronger. It gets me out of the house and it just feels like a fresh chapter. Now, this morning, Josh made me a coffee because it was painfully early and I was waking up to get out of bed. I'm actually taking Josh to a course this week and I was half asleep sitting there while I was in bed holding my cup of coffee. It slipped out of my hand. Don't ask me how. It went everywhere, all over the sheets, the duvet, the bed frame, the carpet. Like, I'm talking a full cup. I have never moved so fast in my life. I was literally throwing water on the carpet, scrubbing it like an absolute maniac, and Josh ended up late to his course. Sorry, babe. And there is currently suspicious brown patches on my rental carpet. So I'm just praying that I can get it out and hopefully I'll be able to get my bomb back because it's really bad. If you guys follow me on Instagram or on YouTube, you can have a look at that. But oh my goodness, so embarrassing. So anyway, that was my morning. I hope I hope yours was calmer than that. Because it was, then you are winning. Anyway, let's get into today's episode. So today we are talking about the lessons I had to learn the hard way while losing 27 kilos. These aren't the cute lessons, by the way. They're not Pinterest quotes. The ones that actually knocked the wind out of me, because I didn't lose 27 kilos smoothly. I didn't glide into it after my body with green juices and discipline. I messed up, guys. I rebounded. I dieted for 25 weeks straight. I gained 7 kilos in 2 weeks afterwards. I cried and I tried again. And that is what I want to unpack with you today, because the real growth didn't come from the scale dropping. It came from the moments that humbled me, and the moments that I thought I had ruined everything, and the moments that I wanted to quit. So let's talk about what it actually taught me. Lesson number 1. Nobody is coming to save you. I know that sounds intense and it sounds a little dramatic, but just stay with me. For the longest time, I genuinely believed something outside of me would be the thing that finally changed me. A new program, a new Monday, a fresh start, a gym membership, a breakup, a comment from someone, a photo where I looked bad enough to be motivated. I kept waiting for this big external moment that would flip a switch in me, and it never came. And what actually changed is the things that was so much quieter than that. It was me deciding that I was done outsourcing my responsibility. If you wake up every Monday full of motivation and by Friday you've spiraled again, that doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong or you're lacking discipline. It doesn't mean that you're incapable either. It just means that your strategy is not working. If you're white knuckling your diet all week, cutting carbs, skipping meals, saying no to everything, then exploding on the weekend and then feeling ashamed, that is not a character flaw. That's just feedback. It's your body talking. It's your behavior telling you something. For me, that pattern repeated over and over. I would be perfect for 5 days, then I'd crack. Then I'd tell myself, I'll start again on Monday. And I honestly thought the problem was that I just needed to try harder. But trying harder at something, that's fundamentally unsustainable because it just makes you exhausted. And at some point, I had to sit down with myself and go, okay, Britt, what you're doing is not sustainable. You can't keep blaming your environment, your schedule, your emotions, your past. Or you could admit that the system that you're following does not fit your life. And that moment was both empowering and also deeply uncomfortable. Because when you realize that nobody is coming to save you, you also realize that you are the one that has to show up. You are the one who has to build habits that actually work. You are the one who has to stop chasing extremes. And you are the one who has to stop romanticizing starting over and instead learn how to continue. Yes, I know that probably hurt. No new plan will fix a mindset that avoids responsibility. No new gym will fix a pattern of all or nothing, and no magical wave of motivation will carry you through if you don't build systems that support you when motivation disappears. That was a shift for me. Not I need more willpower, but I need a better plan. Once I stopped waiting to be rescued by a new program or a perfect Monday and started taking ownership of my patterns, that is where things actually started to move. It wasn't glamorous and it wasn't loud. It was just honest. And honesty, that's where real change begins. Lesson number 2. Slowly is the fastest way to get to where you want to be. I know that sounds like something you'd scroll past on Instagram and roll your eyes at. I used to. Because when you want to change your body, you don't want slow. You want visible, you want dramatic, and you want proof that what you're doing is working. I know that you want results yesterday. And every single time I tried to force that speed, it backfired. I cut carbs completely, backfired. I dropped my calories way too low, backfired. I overtrained thinking more sweat meant more progress, backfired. But one thing that really humbled me was dieting for 25 weeks straight. 25 weeks being on, measuring, restricting, thinking about food constantly, ignoring hunger cues, ignoring fatigue, and telling myself I just had to push through. And then in 2 weeks after I stopped dieting, I gained 7 kilos, guys. 7. It felt traumatic. I remember looking in the mirror and feeling like I had ruined absolutely everything. Like all of that discipline that I had just done for the 25 weeks meant nothing. I felt embarrassed and I felt completely out of control. Like I could not even control myself. Like I went on holiday to Europe and it was a buffet breakfast. I had kept going back and back and back. There was like 3 portions that I went up. And when I'm telling you I went up 3 times, it was like my plate was full and I was still hungry after that. And what had actually happened was that I wasn't weak. I was just depleted. My body was done. My brain was done. I had been running on empty for months and expecting myself to behave. The rebound wasn't sabotage. It was genuinely survival. And that is when it clicked for me. I wasn't failing because I wasn't trying hard enough. I was failing because I was trying too hard for too long. There is only so long you can white knuckle hunger, only so long that you can override your body's signals, and only so long that you can treat fat loss like a sprint. The irony is, when I finally slowed down, everything sped up. When I stopped slashing calories and instead I aimed for a moderate deficit, I could actually stick to it. When I stopped banning foods and instead learning how to include them, I stopped obsessing over them. When I trained hard but recovered properly, my body responded better. The slower approach didn't feel impressive. There were weeks where the scale barely moved, but there were also weeks where it didn't move at all. But guess what? I didn't quit. And that is the part that nobody talks about. Speed feels powerful in the beginning and consistency feels boring, but consistency compounds. Lesson number 3. The diet after the diet is just as important as the diet. You're probably just like, excuse me, Britt, what are you talking about? The diet after the diet. Nobody talks about this because it's hard and it's not sexy. We glorify the grind, the before and after, the discipline, the calorie targets, the step count, the gym selfies, the shrinking body. But what actually happens when you get there? What happens when you hit the goal weight you've been chasing for months? Because I can tell you from experience That moment is not the fairy tale ending you think it is if you haven't prepared for what comes next. I'm going to blow your minds. I'm sorry about this. Your entire identity becomes, I'm on a diet. And if your structure only works in a deficit, if you only know how to restrict and push, then maintenance feels terrifying and hard because you don't trust yourself. You don't trust food and you don't trust your body. And that's when people rebound. Not because they suddenly don't care anymore, but because they've never learned how to live at that weight. They've only learned how to chase it. When I first lost the weight, I thought the hard part was over. I thought I'd earned the right to relax, but I had no idea how to increase my calories without spiraling. I had no idea how to eat more without feeling like I was losing control. Every small scale increase felt like a failure. Even when it was just glycogen and water from eating more carbs, I panicked and I tightened the reins. I tried to shrink again. That is the trap, guys. That is the trap. If you don't practice maintenance intentionally, you will treat every normal fluctuation like an emergency. Maintenance is not just stop dieting, it is a skill. It's slowly increasing your calories so your body can stabilize. It's learning your true maintenance intake instead of guessing. It's allowing your weight to settle instead of trying to sit at your absolute leanest all year. It's eating at restaurants without thinking you've ruined everything. It's for strength, not for calorie burn. You have to teach your body and your brain that it's safe to maintain. And that part is deeply psychological. Because shrinking feels productive. Maintaining feels like you're doing nothing. But maintaining is actually where the real growth is. The diet after the diet is where you decide whether this phase is just a phase or it's actually a lifestyle. Lesson number 4. If you don't change your lifestyle, your body won't stay changed. This one is simple, but it's uncomfortable. You cannot diet your way out of a lifestyle that doesn't support your goals. You can out-discipline it for a while. You can override it for a season. But eventually your habits will win. If you hate cooking, never move your body unless you're punishing yourself, sleep 5 hours a night, drink every weekend, live off takeaways, and then try to be strict Monday to Thursday, that is not a willpower issue. That is a lifestyle mismatch. And I say that with love because that used to be me. I thought weight loss was absolutely about intensity and how hard I could push and how little I could eat. I treated it like a temporary project, something I could grind through and then go back to normal. But normal was the reason I gained the weight back in the first place. When I started walking 10,000 steps a day, it wasn't dramatic, it was boring, and it was just daily movement. When I started cooking simple high-protein meals, it wasn't gourmet, it was practical. And when I started strength training a few times a week, it wasn't to burn the most calories, it was to build something. None of that felt extreme, but it was different. I wasn't just dieting. I was becoming someone who lived differently. And that is the part that people don't like hearing because it means that it isn't just about a meal plan. It's about identity. If you want a strong body, you have to become somebody who trains. If you want a leaner body, you have to become somebody who moves consistently. If you want to feel good, you have to become someone who respects sleep, food, and recovery. You don't have to be perfect, and you don't have to give up your social life, and you don't have to turn into a robot. But what you do have to do is align your daily life with your goals. Your body is a reflection of your repeated habits. Not your best week, not your most disciplined Monday, your patterns. And once I stopped asking, how can I lose weight fast? And started asking, what would the best version of me who maintains this look like do every day? That is when everything shifted. Lesson number 5, your goals will always move. This one caught me off guard. I really believed that when I hit the number, everything would click into place. I thought I'd wake up lighter and feel calm, complete, settled, like I'd finally arrived. And for a minute, it felt good. Then my brain moved the finish line. Okay, but what if I was a little leaner? Okay, what if my waist was tighter? What if my abs showed more? What if my glutes were bigger? What if I could just lose 2 more kilos? It never ended. The goal that once felt impossible became normal. And once it was normal, it wasn't exciting anymore. It was just the new baseline. So I created another target. That is when I realized something really important. If I keep tying my happiness to the next milestone, I will never actually feel happy. I would just keep postponing it. I'd say I'll relax when I'm there. I'll feel confident when I'm there. I'll stop criticizing myself when I'm there. But there keeps moving. Your body can absolutely be something you can work on. It can be a goal. It can be a source of pride, but it cannot be the only thing that you're building in your life, because bodies change, they fluctuate, they age, they respond to stress, they hold water, they soften, they get stronger, they get tired. If your entire sense of achievement is built on how lean you are at any given time, you will constantly feel behind, even when you are objectively doing well. I had to expand my focus. Yes, I train. Yes, I care about my physique, but I also care about my relationships, my business, my mind, my faith, my experiences, and the life that I am creating. When your world gets bigger, your body stops being the only scoreboard. And that shift is freeing, because you can still chase growth, you can still improve, and you can still set goals, but your self-worth isn't dangling off the next aesthetic milestone. You realize that your body is part of your life, not the whole thing. And that is when things start to feel a lot more peaceful. Lesson number 6. Your body is not the most important thing about you. This one took me years. When I made my body my entire personality, every fluctuation felt like a crisis. A bad photo could ruin my week. A number on the scale could change my mood. But your body is one part of you, not the whole you. You are your humor, your kindness, your ambition, your resilience, your relationships, your creativity, your faith, and your mind. If you shrink your body, but shrink your life in the process, that is not success, girl. Lesson number 7. If you are changing from a place of hate, you will always feel miserable. I used to think hating my body would motivate me, and it didn't. It made me obsessive, it made me harsh, and it made the process feel punishing. The shift happened when I stopped trying to fix myself and started trying to take care of myself. There is a huge difference there. When you move your body because you respect it, not because you're punishing it. When you eat well because you want energy, not because you're scared of weight gain, everything changes. And I will give you one more lesson. Consistency beats intensity every single time. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be repeatable. I did not lose 27 kilos because I had one perfect month. I lost it because I kept showing up imperfectly for a long time. Some weeks I nailed it. Some weeks I just survived it, but I kept going. And that is the real secret. If you're in your journey right now and it feels messy, you're not behind. You're just in the middle. Take the pressure off doing it fast and focus on doing it in a way that you can live with. And if this episode hit, share it with somebody who needs to hear that slow is not failing, that maintenance matters, and that your body is not the only thing about you worth building. I love you, I'm proud of you, and I will see you in the next episode.